Today, we're jumping into something really inspiring. We're looking at African climate founders, the ones who are genuinely scaling against the odds.
That's right. It's a fascinating and, frankly, critical topic.
Yeah, we want to unpack their journeys, understand how they're crafting these, localized, resilient solutions.
Solutions that don't just fight climate change, but also really empower communities.
Exactly, driving equitable growth. It feels like they're rewriting the rulebook for climate action, despite facing huge hurdles.
Huge hurdles is right. I mean, Africa faces some incredibly urgent climate risks. We're talking severe droughts, devastating floods.
It's front page news constantly.
It is, but, the continent also has immense potential natural resources, a young, dynamic population, real innovative thinking.
Yet that funding statistic is just, wow. Less than 1% of global climate tech funding reaches African startups.
It's incredibly low. And that figure really highlights the systemic barriers they're up against.
So beyond just the money, there's limited local VC, not much R&D support, tricky regulations, infrastructure gaps like, power grids or transport.
Definitely. All those things.
How does that shape their approach? Does it force a different kind of innovation?
It absolutely does. They have to be resourceful in ways others might not. They prove that impactful climate solutions can be built, from the ground up. They leverage community trust, local knowledge, local resources. It's not always about massive top-down projects.
So it's innovation born from necessity almost.
In many ways, yes. And their ingenuity leads to really outsized impact. Think precision irrigation in Senegal, vital for managing water and boosting crops. Or solar desalination in Morocco, providing fresh water in coastal areas. Solutions tailored precisely to local needs.
It's not just adapting tech, it's deeply embedding it in the local context. Could you give us maybe another example or two just to show the range?
Sure. Take Octavia Carbon into Kenya. They're pioneers in direct air capture.
Pulling CO2 right out of the air.
Exactly. And they're using Kenya's unique geothermal energy resources to power it. That contributes to global net zero goals. It's pretty cutting-edge stuff.
Wow.
Then you have companies focused on agriculture, like Sun Culture, also Kenya-based, bringing solar irrigation to smallholder farmers. A different scale, but hugely impactful.
Okay, so high-tech capture and really practical agricultural solutions. What about waste? I know EcoBarter in Nigeria is making waves.
EcoBarter, yes, a great example. They're a tech-enabled platform for waste collection and recycling.
How do they operate? What makes them stand out?
Well, they use things like tokenized incentives, sort of digital rewards, and these reverse vending machines. You put in recyclables, you get something back.
Smart.
Very. And the founder, Rita Idihai, her story is really central to it. She grew up seeing her family trade used items, learning early on that waste has value.
That personal connection often drives the most powerful ventures, doesn't it?
It really does. Her studies in geosciences solidified that passion, especially understanding human impact on the environment.
So how did she go from that realization to building EcoBarter?
Well, after finishing her studies in national service, she saw a huge gap in sustainable waste management in Abuja. So in 2018, she founded EcoBarter. The vision was clear: turn waste into wealth using tech and community power.
And those innovations, like the reverse vending machine and the app.
Yes, Nigeria's first locally designed RVM, apparently, plus a mobile app for scheduling collections, and that reward system turning recycling into a kind of currency. And crucially, they work closely with women and youth, training them in upcycling plastics into products. It creates real, sustainable livelihoods.
That's incredible impact on multiple levels. But I imagine it wasn't easy. You mentioned hurdles earlier.
Oh, definitely not easy. EcoBarter faced major funding issues, even had to shut down operations twice, temporarily.
Twice. Wow.
But Rita's resilience, her focus on, sound financial discipline brought them back. Today, they're making a tangible difference reducing urban flooding because waste isn't clogging drains and empowering thousands in several Nigerian states.
Her quote about the impact being like a drug that keeps her going, that really says it all.
It really captures that founder spirit, doesn't it? The deep personal drive.
So looking bigger picture then, we see these amazing stories. Where is most of this innovation happening geographically?
The hotspots are generally Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt. But honestly, interesting ventures are popping up all across the continent.
And are there common themes? Like, what connects these diverse startups?
I'd say the core themes are resilience, localization, making solutions fit the context, and equitable growth. They're often creating jobs, supporting communities that might otherwise be left behind.
Despite the challenges, the capital, the costs, the regulations.
Despite all that, and look, there's still a gender gap in funding and leadership that needs addressing, but the sheer determination plus growing interest from impact investors, it does signal a more promising future.
So summing up for our listeners, what's the key takeaway?
I think it's that these African climate tech founders aren't just coping with difficult circumstances, they're actively rewriting the roles. Stories like Rita Ida Highs and Eco Barter show you how local ingenuity can genuinely create global impact. They're absolutely central to Africa's green transition.
They're driving climate-positive growth, sustainable development, right from the ground up.
Precisely.
Which leaves us with a thought to ponder, right?
Mhm.
Maybe think about how these unique challenges and the incredibly innovative community-focused solutions coming out of Africa, how might they actually offer blueprints for sustainable development and climate action everywhere? It really inspires you to look for impact maybe where you least expect it.